MSNBC hosted a commander-in-chief presidential forum with Matt Lauer, and it was almost unbearable to watch. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything great because the candidates are Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, but it was a lot worse than I could have imagined or even anticipated. But before I even talk about the candidates' performance, as well as Matt Lauer, why is it that Jill Stein and Gary Johnson were not able to participate? Because this isn't a debate. There's no criteria that you have to qualify at 15% in public opinion polls for this. So why is it that MSNBC did not invite them? I was very frustrated by this, but I'm getting way off topic. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual Commander-in-Chief Town Hall Forum. So Matt Lauer didn't ask the right questions at all. Here's an example of one of the questions he posed to Hillary. Do you think Iran is playing us? Do you think Iran is playing us? We have the IAEA up their asses right now. How the hell are they going to play us? We have basically free reign of any of their nuclear facilities. They don't have enough material to build a nuclear weapon even if they wanted to, and we're up their asses. There's no way they could right now. So to ask that question, I mean, I just reject the premise of that question altogether. Now, here's another problem I had with Matt Lauer. He posed these really complex questions, particularly to Hillary Clinton, and then before they could even answer, he's like, all right, you're going to have to make it brief. Dude, that's your problem, okay? That's not the candidate's problem. You actually have to budget your time more wisely. And think of the softballs that he threw to Donald Trump. What have you experienced in your life that makes you ready for Commander-in-Chief? Come on, really? You're going to ask him that? Get to the policy substance. And another thing that pissed me off about Matt Lauer, he focused more on what Donald Trump had to say than the actual policy substance. He hasn't revealed any specifics about his plan to defeat ISIS, and you're not challenging him on that. That pissed me off. He also didn't ask Hillary Clinton the right questions. So he talked to her about the Iran nuclear deal and whatnot. Why didn't you ask her the questions that we all want to hear about? Ask her why she wants to install this ridiculous Syrian no-fly zone that could escalate tensions between Russia and possibly spawn a new Cold War. Ask her why she's going to treat cyber attacks as though they are just regular attacks on U.S. soil. That could potentially lead to World War III. Why didn't you ask her about that? These are the questions that we want to know about. This is a foreign policy forum, and you didn't ask her some of the most pressing questions that we want to hear as voters. And getting to Donald Trump, you also didn't ask him the right questions either. Donald Trump said in a previous town hall that he would not take using nuclear weapons against Europe off the table. Why didn't you press him on that? Donald Trump recently, he asked why we couldn't use nuclear weapons if we have them on 3 different occasions. We're all worried that Donald Trump is going to be trigger happy when it comes to using nuclear weapons. Why didn't you ask him about that? So it's like Matt Lauer is so out of touch that he didn't even know what voters wanted to hear about. Okay, so getting to the candidates, let's focus on Hillary Clinton first and then Donald Trump. So she started out strong by touting her foreign policy experience, and cited an example as to how she helped capture bin Laden. I thought that, at first, wow, she's starting off pretty strong. But then it all went downhill very quickly. So Hillary Clinton, quite frankly, is lying about her use of a private email server. She's moving the goalposts. She said none of the emails sent or received by me had a classified header. But before, she said that she just didn't send or receive classified information, period.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material.
Classified material has a header which says top secret, secret, confidential. None of the emails sent or received by me had such a header.
Now, just generally speaking, Hillary Clinton did a horrific job on the question about her emails. And honestly, she just came off as really disingenuous, so I don't think that was a good look. Now, there was one part of the questioning that made my jaw hit the floor. It was this part.
As a naval flight officer, I held a top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, and that provided me access to materials and information highly sensitive to our warfighting capabilities. Had I communicated this information not following prescribed protocols, I would have been prosecuted and imprisoned. Secretary Clinton, how can you expect those, such as myself, who were and are entrusted with America's most sensitive information, to have any confidence in your leadership as president when you clearly corrupted our national security.
So that was intense, and getting to her answer, she did not answer his question adequately because, as I stated, she's moving the goalpost. Before, she never talked about a classified header in the emails. This is a first hearing that from her. I wish that Matt Lauer would have called her out on this. Now, additionally, when it comes to the Iraq War, she said that she learned from her mistake with her vote for the Iraq War. But she didn't, because if she did, she wouldn't want to install a Syrian no-fly zone and potentially escalate to a new Cold War over Syria. Now, also, she was right, however, to divert attention away from that and spotlight the good things that she's done for troops, like treating people with PTSD who are injured and whatnot. And she was also asked to respond directly to progressives. Take a look.
With respect to Libya, again, there's no difference between my opponent and myself. He's on record extensively supporting intervention in Libya when Gaddafi was threatening to massacre his population. I put together a coalition that included NATO, included the Arab League, and we were able to save lives. We did not lose a single American in that action. And I think taking that action was the right decision. Not taking it and permitting there to be an ongoing civil war in Libya would have been as dangerous and threatening as what we are now seeing in Syria.
Now, Hillary Clinton completely and utterly failed to address the main concerns of progressives that she was trigger happy, because she just said 10 minutes ago that her vote for the Iraq War was something that she had to learn from. She learned from her mistakes, but then she had the audacity to say it was the right decision to take action in Libya. Right, because turning Libya into a failed state with a strong ISIS presence, that's way better than Gaddafi, right? I mean, so that whole line about her learning from her mistakes, again, she hasn't learned anything from her mistakes, and she has a lot of them. Now, there were some portions of Hillary Clinton's answers that I thought she did a good job on. Her answer on the VA was great.
I will not let the VA be privatized. And I do think there is an agenda out there supported by my opponent to do just that. I think that would be very disastrous for our military veterans.
And look, I don't think very many people will deny that we have to reform our VA system, but Republicans blocked congressional initiatives that would have increased funding to make the VA better. And this is an attempt to make the VA shitty by Republicans so people get frustrated with it and then they can privatize it. So she's absolutely right there. And it was really important that she brought that up. Now, her donors would profit from privatizing the VA, but as far as I'm concerned, her answer was good. Now, she also did good in terms of demonstrating knowledge about how VA records are difficult to be found or obtained. I mean, this is something that my family's dealt with firsthand because my dad is a vet who is disabled now. And, you know, getting records was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. So the fact that she could demonstrate knowledge about that shows that she was doing her homework and talking to people. I was actually surprised right there. She did a good job on this question. Now, she also did great on the question of suicide and mental health. I have no complaints here. Now, I did take issue with her plan to defeat ISIS. Basically, in a nutshell, it's more bombs. We're going to bomb them more. Okay, you need a more sophisticated strategy than that, Hillary Clinton, because President Obama's already doing that, and surprise, surprise, they're getting stronger. So what else are you going to do? Do you have anything more to talk about other than the fact that you're going to bomb them more? You need to take a cue from Jill Stein. You have to starve them from their resources. That's how you defeat ISIS, because if you just bomb them, you're going to only accidentally kill civilians. And when you get more collateral damage, you radicalize other people who see this and also want to take up arms against us. So bombing them, if that's your only strategy, then ISIS is not going anywhere for the next 4 to 8 years. Now, I'm also glad to hear that she committed to not putting in more ground troops, but I don't necessarily believe her given that she said she would be willing to commit more ground troops before. So overall, I thought that Matt Lauer was tough on Hillary Clinton to a degree, but not tough enough, and he also didn't address the concerns of many voters about her Syrian no-fly zone, about her cybersecurity policy. He did a bad job in that regard, so he needed to be tougher. and he also needed to actually ask the right questions. Now, Hillary Clinton performed better than I thought she would, and she had the advantage of being juxtaposed against Donald Trump going first, because you see Hillary Clinton, and then you see Donald Trump, and you really realize that even though we can't trust a single word that she's saying, she's at least more articulate and can form a coherent sentence. But with Donald Trump, I mean, I don't even know what to say about Donald Trump. So first, he keeps lying about the fact that he was always against the Iraq War. That's completely false.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
I was actually surprised because I expected Matt Lauer to be way more harsh on Donald Trump than he would be on Hillary Clinton, but it was the complete opposite. I mean, he gave Donald Trump softball questions, and Donald Trump still couldn't even answer softball questions. He fumbled those.
But what have you done in your life that prepares you to send men and women of the United States into harm's way?
Well, I think the main thing is I have great judgment. I have good judgment. I know what's going on. I've called so many of the shots, and I happened to hear Hillary Clinton say that I was not against the war in Iraq. I was totally against the war in Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so.
And look at this question here I want to spotlight. Matt Lauer asked him about whether or not we should be able to, quote, take a risk with him saying something stupid as commander-in-chief. And his answer was just downright cringeworthy, because rather than saying, no, you're not taking a risk with me, I'm the safe option because Hillary Clinton wants to escalate tensions with Vladimir Putin. I don't want to do that. I want peace. Did Donald Trump say that? No. He literally implied inadvertently that he is a risk.
But when you say commander-in-chief, if you say things you regret when you're commander-in-chief, you can spark a conflict, you can destabilize a region, you can put American lives at risk. Can we afford to take that risk with you?
Well, I think absolutely.
Again, rather than just saying, you're not taking a risk with me, he said, no, you should take a risk with me. Unbelievable. Donald Trump. Come on, man. Come on. Because, look, I really do feel as though Donald Trump is someone who we're taking a risk with. That's the same thing with Hillary Clinton, so he could have used that to his advantage, that voters don't trust Hillary Clinton and that she's a war hawk, but he didn't. He said, no, I think you can take a risk with me, and then he just talked about some random shit. I'm not rooting for either of these idiots, but if you honestly want to do better against probably the most calculating politician ever, who is going to be way more rehearsed than you could ever anticipate, you've got to do better than that, and you've got to actually see these things and take a few seconds to just think about your answer. You don't have to answer like that. You're a human being, right? Take a few seconds before you answer the goddamn question, Donald. Now, there's also him not revealing what his, quote, plan is to defeat ISIS. Oh, believe him, though, guys. He's got a plan. He's not going to show it to you, but he's got a plan. He's not telling you, not because he doesn't have anything planned. Believe him. He has a plan. That's not the way that this works. You tell us your plan, Hillary tells us hers, and then we vote for the one we like the most. We're not asking for a specificity to the extent that ISIS will know literally which buildings to flee because you're giving them the coordinates of where you'll be bombing. That's not what we're asking for. Just give us a general sense as to what you're going to do to defeat ISIS. But he can't do that because he has no plan, and he implied that by saying he's going to talk to generals and he's going to give them 30 days to tell them what his plan is. That's not how this works, Donald. You have to tell us your plan. Here's what I realized. Hillary Clinton, the fact that she is now sinking in the polls is astonishing to me, because when you see her juxtaposed against Donald Trump, I mean, he just seems incredibly idiotic. She's obviously more intelligent and more knowledgeable than him. You would think that, he would be able to play up to his strengths. He couldn't pitch to everyone why he's not like these rehearsed politicians. He just came off as really idiotic and unintelligent. And there's just no sense of complexity or nuance. There's no specificity to any of his answers. He just seems stupid. I mean, I hate to be a dick, but he just seems like he's stupid. I mean, take, for example, his answer about de-escalating tensions with Russia.
I think I would have a very, very good relationship with Putin, and I think I would have a very, very good relationship with Russia. As I said, but I looked at President Obama and Putin staring at each other. These were not two people that were getting along. And the beautiful part of getting along, Russia wants to defeat ISIS as badly as we do.
Okay. De-escalating tensions with Russia requires more than that, Donald Trump. I mean, this is the answer a 12-year-old would give. I mean, there's just no sophistication to anything he says. He can barely form a coherent sentence. And look, I get wanting to work with Russia to defeat ISIS. I agree with him there. But gauging U.S.-Russia relations by the body language of Obama and Putin, I mean, he's just not helping himself. Now, much like Hillary Clinton's portion, there is, a slight ray of light within Donald Trump's answers. So Matt asked him about compliments that Trump has received from Putin, even though he annexed Crimea and hacked the DNC. And Trump actually seemed like he was going to make a good point there. But Matt Lauer cut him off, as he cut off Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump multiple times. He just did not allow the candidates enough time to answer any of the questions. And Trump said that there's no evidence that Putin hacked the DNC. That's true. And then he went on to say he was going to talk about how Obama isn't so innocent either. Now, I don't know what direction Trump was going to take that answer. He could have talked about how President Obama is killing lots of civilians with his drone strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria now. But I don't know where he was going to go. Knowing Donald Trump, he probably would have given a completely incoherent answer and talk about how Obama is a Muslim. But with that being said, we don't know what Donald Trump would have said and how he would have answered because Matt Lauer didn't give him the opportunity to actually answer that question in a manner that's thoughtful. And there was one point where Donald Trump just completely lied. He said that we have a depleted military. That's complete and utter horseshit. Our military is the strongest military in the world. We put more money into that military than the next several nations combined. So to suggest that our military is depleted is just factually incorrect. Now, there was one point in there where I was actually really happy and relieved with Donald Trump's answer. He said that he would not privatize the VA, and that was good. But should we believe him about that? No, because he literally contradicted himself minutes later. Take a look.
I never said take the VA, take it, the Veterans Administration private. I wouldn't do that. Too much respect for our people. I would never do that.
Okay.
I heard it was said that I said that I would not do that. So we are going to make it efficient and good. And if it's not good, you're going out to private hospitals, public hospitals, and doctors.
And look, to give you another example of the softball questions that Matt Lauer was throwing to Donald Trump, he said, what kind of research are you doing to prepare?
What kind of homework are you doing? What kind of things are you reading as you prepare for the day in 2 months where you might be elected the next president of the United States?
Matt Lauer really handled Donald Trump with kid gloves, and if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you should be insulted by this because Matt Lauer asked questions that were so simple, so easy, that he didn't even give Donald Trump the opportunity to seem like he's a sophisticated, talented candidate. So honestly, you should be pissed about the fact, if you are a Trump supporter, that Matt Lauer handled this the way that he did. And if you're a Hillary Clinton supporter, then you should be angry at the fact that Matt Lauer did not really press Hillary Clinton harder. I think that he should have been harder on Hillary Clinton. I think that he should have been way harder on Donald Trump. But overall, I mean, these candidates demonstrated why I'm voting third party, why I'm supporting Jill Stein, because they both are incapable of seeming genuine, authentic. They're just bad candidates overall, and it really just seemed like something from the movie Idiocracy. It was just horrible. So, I mean, in the end, can we please get someone who actually is willing to do a good job at hosting this? Because Matt Lauer had no idea what the hell he was doing, and it was just a complete and utter disaster.